Well, the World Series of Poker is underway at the Rio. To talk about the history of the event is Las Vegas Weekly's Case Kiefer. And Case, the race, they are celebrating a really big milestone this year.
Yeah, year number 50. I'm sure at some point there was a question of if it would ever get to 50. But this is the 50th event that's been taking place since 1970 here in Las Vegas. It just seems to get bigger and bigger every year. It's kind of the one gambling event on the calendar that any gambler wants to circle.
Why do you think it's grown so much in popularity?
Well, you know, they've kind of expanded their wings, which, you know, I talk about in the story in the Las Vegas Week. They wanted to include all poker players. For a long time, it was really just the professionals. I mean, to get into the main event, it's always been $10,000, but you do the math with inflation back in the 70s, I mean, that's like an astronomical amount. They started incorporating smaller buy-in events. I mean, you can get into events this year for as low as, I think, like $400. So that really, they're making price points more available to everyone, not just necessarily the high-stakes guys that do this for a living.
And it's hard to look at it now and see how popular it's become and realize that there were a few years there that it was touch and go if it would even survive.
Yeah, I think there were some questions along the path. Maybe it's that way if anything last 50 years, but it does seem like there's been a little more tumultuous than any. You know, you look back and maybe ironically kind of the biggest question mark was 2004. They were coming out of their biggest year ever, still considered their biggest year ever in 2003, but Binion's was kind of falling apart, both, you know, physically and it was being sold. So there was a question if it was going to happen that year. And there's been a lot of moments like that where it's kind of stagnated in size, but it's persevered and it seems to be in a really good place now.
It sounds like, too, that there's been some controversy over the years about whether or not you should have these smaller, lower-priced tournaments, but that seems like it's also helped with the popularity.
Yeah, well, I think if you polled everyone that plays in the World Series, if it's a good thing, you're going to get just exorbitant amount, 90+% yes, we want these. But, you know, the guys who really feel tied into the event that have been coming for 30, 40 years, they're the ones that might be kind of against the lower buy-in events because, you know, they think there's still some prestige attached to those big price points.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Case. And you can read more about the World Series of Poker in this week's edition of Las Vegas Weekly. It is on newsstands now.
Nice.